Hello, everybody. I'm Mel Doerr, the Aloha Shirt Psychic, and I'm so excited. I've got Sheila Olden of Celtic Tarot-Sheila. Um, and when we were in Sedona with Linda, I met Sheila, and she took one of my classes, and that was fun. But Aiden arranged for her to be on the show, and I'm so excited. Hey, Sheila, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for contacting me. And I know it was via Aiden, but Aiden is such a sweet man. I know that I've got to see him face to face as well. So I appreciate this. I really do.
Um, so tell us a little bit about yourself. If they want to get a hold of you, how do they do that?
So you can find me on Celtic Tarot Sheila on YouTube. You can just Google that, and then all of my information, of course, if you want to email me or what have you, you can definitely go see that, and you can go check out. I think I'll have almost 800 videos on there for y'all to check out, so you guys can do that. Some of my specialties are remote viewing. I also do remote viewing from like the Akashic records, so it's a little different than like a remote view, like going into a room. And I also do tarot card readings. I also do lives with Hoagly on Hogarth channel with Lena Rodriguez and
I love Lena. She is so cool. And
yeah, yeah.
Hogarth is too.
Yeah.
Maybe you, me, Lena, and Hogarth could do a show together. That'd be fun.
I'm in. I'm definitely in for that, for
Yeah, I
sure.
can't speak for Hogarth or Lena, but maybe
Oh, they would love it.
we can twist their arm a little bit.
They would love it.
Anyway, so I know what remote viewing is. I do it and I've taught it, but you teach it. So what if, let's say I'm not Mel,
Mhm.
I'm a student.
Wait a minute, wait a minute. I have something for that. Hang on just a second. I have a wand. Okay, hold on. Here we go. Okay, bing, you're not male.
Hi, I'm Jane.
There you go.
Teacher. What what is remote viewing?
Remote viewing for me. So I didn't have a name for it truly until I kind of landed on this name. So when people think of remote viewing, they think of me going into like somebody's office and I'm standing there and I'm looking around. That's kind of not what I do. What I do is when I do a remote view, I go for spiritual messages. I go kind of directly into the Akashic records and I get the messages directly from the spiritual realm, and it kind of gives me visions. It kind of gives me kind of like a, I don't know, like a movie. I can say, but it's like an odd movie. Like everything's a certain color, or something's happening with that person, or that it just kind of comes out that way. And when I do my remote viewing and put my video up, I have a lot of interaction with my subscribers. What they see, 'cause I don't understand what I'm seeing sometimes right away. Kind of gives, like slow burn. But my subscribers definitely in my comments help me out with that. So,
So rather than coordinate remote viewing, which is like you can just put a number on something or it's really an address, if you will, a cosmic address. But coordinate remote viewing is you go more toward a target, like somebody's office. The military used to use it, or
yeah.
you know, I've heard that they've used psychics to do coordinate remote viewing in the past to say where should they bomb. They tried that.
Right.
Um,
I did.
I won't use it for that, but so like you said, like going into somebody's office, like my office or something. Of course, you don't have to because I'm here right now anyway. But I
Well,
think
I don't, yeah, I don't do it that way.
no, but what you're talking about, I think, is extended remote viewing, where you're just
Ah,
years ago we called it astral travel or
yeah.
clairvoyant travel. I've been around for a long time, so the terms they might have changed, but it's kind of saying the same thing. So extended remote viewing is what you're doing. You're going out on the ethers, and
Yes, thank you for giving me a word or a name for it because I used to just call it hijacking at first.
well, it is astral travel. Astral travel. Some people think that our body is actually there, but no, it's our etheric body, our
Yes.
spiritual body. that goes there. But you could also do it with your mind.
Yes.
And so it really is, in my opinion, they used to call it astral travel. Now they call it extended remote viewing. It's the same thing with
I
your
like it.
mind.
I will start calling it extended remote viewing because I have to close my eyes while I do it. I take a deep breath in. You know what I mean? It's just that it's a whole thing.
But when you do it, you know you're in the room. It's just that you see it in your mind's eye, correct?
Yeah, and it's different. It's not so my last remote like my so, couple of my last remote views. I mean, I would see the Capitol building and I would see like suited people falling down the stairs. They're not hurting, they're just like falling down the stairs like they're Legos and they're falling and toppling over. And in the feeling, it wasn't funny. I mean, in the feeling, it was funny. So nobody was getting hurt because I would never laugh at anybody who was getting hurt. But that's kind of the things that I see is like they're toppling over. There's a whole bunch of people falling down from the stairs. What does that mean at that moment? I don't know right just yet, or one time I did a remote view on Trump, and this is a long time ago before when Trump was first term and then Biden, then Trump. And my remote view was that he was a piñata and he was up in the air and he was very, very happy, but they started lowering it and lowering this piñata, and then he was starting to get hit. And I looked at who was slicing him and hitting him, and it was his own people. And
Wow.
they just started like that. And by the time it was all said and done, it was his own people who just literally destroyed him.
So
Metaphys
basically,
metaphorically.
sometimes when we do the extended remote viewing, sometimes it's symbolic, and we don't know what those
Yes.
symbols mean until they happen. But it's also clairvoyant. Now, a lot of people think that clairvoyance is predicting the future. It is not. It means clear sight.
Yes.
Cognition is seeing the future, and it's glimpses. So my feeling is when you were talking about the Trump thing with the pin, or he was a pinata, or seeing people falling down the Capitol steps, that would have been clairvoyant precognitive.
Mm.
Because you were seeing a future event in your mind.
Yes. 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 See, I should have talked to you a long time ago to name all these things. I'm just over here going, this is what's going on.
I talk about the names of stuff. The Clare sisters,
Yes.
clairsentience, clear feeling. And sometimes we can get a premonition about something.
Yeah, get that a lot.
Right, that's clairsentient. And sometimes claircognizance. That
Hmm.
means we know. We don't know how we know or what we know. We just know.
That has been my whole life. I'm like, they're like, why are you turning down this road? I don't know.
Right. We know.
I'm
We
just
know.
gonna do it. Yeah, I'm just gonna do it. And then you find out later why you had to do it or why you did. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I'm just gonna do it.
And then clairaudience is like hearing, psychic hearing, not like we're hearing, but that,
Yes.
when we talk to our guides, we communicate with them telepathically.
Yes.
Telepathy means thought transference, but for me, it can be clairvoyant, but sometimes it's also more clairaudient. In other words, it's almost like it's with our psychic ear. The words are in my head.
Yes.
I'm hearing it psychically, but not like, well, not like audible.
I agree. When I say I just heard this, I'm not saying I audibly heard this. I'm just saying this is the words that kind of like came across my screen. Like when I'm remote viewing, that's what just came across my screen is this, and I call it I heard, but we all know it's like I didn't audibly hear it. There's medicine for that.
And then while we're on the clairs, we have clairtactus.
Hmm.
We're referring to tactile
Yeah.
and touch. So for each of our five physical senses, there's a corresponding mediumistic sense. Um, the Claire sisters, Claire tactus, tactile touch. So the most common form is when I'm doing my work and I hook into spirit, or maybe a dearly departed or something, I get cold chills. And that means
Mm.
spirit presence, but it also means truth. So you'll hear me say, "Oh, I got cold chills with that." That's clair tactus. That mean,
See, that's something curious for me. I've never experienced that, but when I'm talking to people and I'm around people or I'm giving a reading, they're the ones that always tell me, "Oh my gosh, I just got chills."
that
But
means
I never do.
that means truth.
Yeah, so they got chills. So they got that. I was like, oh, I'm so jealous. They get to experience this thing, right? But I receive truth through my emotions.
So
Like
that
I
would
will
be more
feel the truth.
clairsentient. You're
Yeah.
feeling it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, then there's one clair aliens, clair ambience. I call it clair aroma.
Yeah.
It's the smelling.
I've done
Um,
that. Yeah. Yeah. I've done that
like
before.
if I get if I'm working on a case, I used to, I don't do much anymore. And if there was a criminal case and it was might have been a missing person, murder case or whatever, if I got like this um strange, well, I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. Let me rephrase. Claire tactus is taste.
Mm.
And I'm sorry, not Claire tactus. Claire gustance.
Wow. I'm impressed.
So if I when I was working on a case, if I got this like um this odd taste in my mouth, then that would either tell me that the perpetrator or the victim might have had a substance abuse problem.
Mm.
I get a strange taste in my mouth. Claire aroma would be smell. So if I got a funny smell, like when you walk in a funeral home or something,
Yeah.
and if I saw a coffin in a hand like this, that meant that the person they were investigating, the victim, was deceased. And
Ah.
so, but Claire aroma and Claire goose, it's not like a taste or a smell like with our physical senses
Yep.
on the psychic side.
Yep. I've gotten a few of that as minor. I don't do it all the time. What one of my favorite ones and the ones I get a most is color. I can get a smell like of smoke or a body odor or of dampness, like musty smells. I get a lot of those. But is like a color. I can walk in a room and I never really paid much attention to it till I realize it's really important. But the ambience of the room is a certain color, or or their clothes are a certain color. I get a lot of colors.
Me too. Um, and it'll come to you in ways that are idiosyncratic to you or that are unique to you. If you're visual, it'll be visual. If you're more feeling, it'll be a feeling kind of
Yes,
thing. If you are, more auditory, it'll be that psychic ear. If
right.
you work with your taste buds, it will be more, clairgustance. If you like smells, it's clairaroma. But the more you do it, they all start to open up.
Yeah. That's interesting. Thank you. I used to say that too. It's like when I first started, none of that really, all of the extra stuff was in there, and then I did it some more, and the extra would show up, and then extra would show up, and I'm like, huh. I would go, am I getting better at this, or am I being more open to the information? I never could figure out.
Well, people often ask if I can teach them to be psychic, and my answer is no. I
No.
cannot teach anyone to be psychic. What I can do is show them ways to hook into their own intuitive ability. Now, I use the word psychic, intuition, mediumship all interchangeably. I'm an old spiritualist from way back when, and there's many different forms of mediumship, all the clairs we've talked about.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that mediumship is talking to the dearly departed. Well, that comes with the territory.
Right.
But, for me, the whole intuition, channeling, mediumship, it all comes from spirit. So, what does a medium do or a channel do? We take what comes from spirit and we pass it on. And so, all the different things we've talked about are just different tools that spirit gives us to pass the message along.
Well, ironically, and this, I hope I'm not overstepping, but I have a gentleman here that I think something had happened in his throat. So it was really, really hurt. He's passed, but he's handed me coconuts for you. Like, here, give him another coconut. Here, give him another coconut. Give him another coconut. And I don't know where that's coming from, or if I'm just overstepping, or if I'm just imagining this. But this gentleman is here, he's passed, but he had like throat cancer or throat something because my throat is really on fire.
I had throat cancer.
You do. Oh, maybe
I
this person
had.
is.
I had throat cancer.
Oh, okay. Maybe
Um,
he's talking about that then. They give him a coconut. I don't know what the coconut water is important, the coconut.
I know what it means.
Okay. You don't have to disclose. I was just giving you a message that was coming through to me.
Um, it's called oropharyngeal cancer. They say throat cancer because it's in your throat. But on my right tonsil, occasionally I'd feel like I had something caught my throat. I never had pain. And I take a bath every morning for 15, 20 minutes. I have to sleep in the bathtub in the morning because if I don't, I'm a jerk all day long. It's it's almost like my meditation.
Yeah.
Uh, so I was getting out of the bathtub that morning and I thought, there's something caught my throat. And I was brushing my teeth and I put the toothbrush back there. And when I pulled it out, there was blood on the toothbrush.
Whoa.
And I looked and there was this gnarly looking thing on my tonsil. And I went to the immediate care center. I mean, I knew it was cancer. I just knew.
Oh, yeah.
They were like, no, it's nothing to worry about. I went to a neurosurgeon, take these antibiotics. In fact, when I met you in Sedona in 2023, I was having the issue with my throat then.
Wow.
Um, and so this oral surgeon, take antibiotics, come back in a couple weeks. It had pretty much cleared up, but there was one tiny spot there. That's nothing to worry about. Now, mind you, nobody ever examined my mouth with their finger. They never palpated it. So anyway, there was this force that said, no, get it taken care of. And I'm like, I'm trying. So to make a long story short, I found this ear, nose, and throat that I could get in to see. And that was through synchronicity. That's another story. And I said, I think this is cancer. So when he started palpating it with his finger, his whole energy changed. And I
Mm.
and he said, when he finished, I said, you don't have a good poker face, doc. I could read your energy. And he said, I think this is cancer. That I felt a large tumor behind it. And I was going to Africa in 2 days. And I said, well, I'm going to Africa regardless of what you say. So when I got back, he biopsied it. I found a surgeon at Rush, an incredible surgeon. And she removed the tonsil and the tumor behind it, which was like that size.
Mm.
1.7 by 2.7 centimeters. The tape on my neck is where they took out 13 lymph nodes, and those weren't cancerous. So I didn't have to have radiation or chemo. But sometimes if it gets hot, my neck swells and I put the tape on and it pulls back the turkey chin too. So the reason you're feeling that sensation
Okay.
is because after I had the surgery, I lost a lot of weight, but it was like a burning. It was painful.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I feel is the burn.
That's what you're feeling. The coconuts, um, I think it's one of my Hawaiian spirit guides, um, saying, and when I got sick with my colon, I couldn't have any fiber. And I was thinking about drinking coconut milk because it's supposed to help with everything. So that's what you're picking up.
Okay. All right.
Now, you said something though I want to touch on.
Okay.
And here's what I show in my classes. When you're doing this work, people say you have to meditate, you have to do this, you have to do that.
Mm,
Well,
yeah.
this bell here, you see this bell?
Yes.
That's
I
my
can't.
that's my infamous BS bell.
Exactly.
So
It's
when
not ringing. I know I'm probably stopped right there. It goes.
I
It's not ringing. That's because uh
I rang it,
Zoom takes away the bells and stuff, but yeah.
but whatever. So um
Yeah, I think so too.
so you don't have to meditate 15 minutes 10 times a day. It's a tool we can use.
Right.
When we meditate, some people say, make your mind completely blank. That's impossible.
Yeah.
I tell people, I want to know the first thing that comes through. That is your intuition. Now,
Yes. I'm
what
so glad we're on the same page with this. I have always said this, like, pay attention to your thoughts while you're in there. What?
That's what
That's
it
they're
is.
important.
But see, we all do it. I do it too. Like
Yeah.
we're like, I don't know if I'm supposed to give this message. I don't want to overstep.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's me thinking this, blah, blah, blah. That's what one of my students called analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
We get the message and then we think to ourselves, self, is this my intuition or is this me thinking of this?
Yes.
Uh, and so, but see, you stepped through it and you gave the message.
Yeah, because I am how can I do this? I am not naturally aware of social graces. My
Club.
Yeah. So I have a little bit of difficulty sometimes navigating that. Every once in a while, I'll do something and somebody like 2 days later says, Sheila, you shouldn't have said that. That was rude. And I'm like, really? Why? And I just I'm like, I'm sorry.
we don't we don't mean to be rude or like people criticize me if I'm doing a show. They say, you interrupted, you always interrupt. And I'm like, well, we do that because when we get a psychic hit, we want to get it out because if we don't, chances are we'll forget it. That's why I'm always jotting down little notes. Like you can see my little notes here I was taking as we were talking.
Yeah. Yes, I am so on to it, honey. I know. And you're right, because we will forget because the psychic hits that we get are not our own. So we're not retaining them, we are getting them. And there's a huge difference in information. It's just like when I give a reading, I am getting the information for you, but I am not holding on to it, nor am I retaining it.
Who's the older woman? It could be a grandmother in spirit or something. Anybody play cards? I see somebody with cards or playing cards or something. I don't know.
My mother, she was a card player.
Aha. Um, did she have a good sense of humor?
Um,
Right. Don't make her mad. That was not pretty.
well, I mean, she liked to think she had a good sense of humor.
Well, for some reason, she's coming through. She's here and she's showing me playing cards. Um, I don't know if there was any profundity in the message. She just wants to, well, she wants to be forgiven, but
Yes.
forgiving doesn't mean forgetting or condoning bad behavior. It means you move forward. But that's the message that came through.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that's my mother. My mother passed. She had dementia.
You're not going to have dementia. It's
Thank you.
coming through loud and clear. And Spirit is telling me that just because you forget a word, or where did I put that, or in mid-sentence, what was I talking about? That's not dementia. Uh, I don't feel that in your cards. Now I know what she
Thank
meant
you.
by that.
Yeah. Well, I've always been worried because some things, I mean, we learned a lot about dementia because of her. So I know what the difference is of forgetting where your keys are versus I have keys in my head and I have no idea why they're there. There's a huge difference between all of that. So we learned a lot as her children. We learned a lot about that.
Well, dementia.
However,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
that's okay. However, when she did get dementia, all of her natural abilities to hold herself together fell away. So we got the raw woman at the end, and that was an eye opener. I'm like, oh, you've been holding that in because she'd be too specific. Anyways, that's a whole long
Maybe
another video and another
that's why
thing.
she wants to be forgiven.
Yes, she does. Yes, yes, yes.
Dementia is a wastebasket term. It's just a
It is.
well, it just I used to be a social worker in geriatrics. It's just a term that describes disorientation
Mhm.
times one, two, three spheres. But what kind of dementia? Is it Alzheimer's? Is it Lewy body? Is it frontal temporal? Is it ischemic? Alzheimer's back in the day was very hard to diagnose. I mean, the only way you could do it was with a brain biopsy, which they didn't do, or an autopsy at death. Did she hallucinate at all?
Um, so I wasn't with her for her like last 2 years, but when she was heading into dementia, she made up stories like crazy.
It's called confabulation.
Yeah, unbelievable stories that she just literally believed and she knew that they were true.
Right.
When we're like, no, they're not.
Sometimes they hallucinate, they see little people. It's their Lilliputian. Lilliputian means they see little small people running around.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know, I can't diagnose, but it almost seems like I'm just trying to figure out if hers was more frontal temporal or, I don't think it was Lewy body because they hallucinate with that, but it seems almost either Alzheimer's or more frontal temporal, and it
I
feels
think
more frontal temporal to me.
I think Alzheimer's is probably was her official diagnosis.
Back then, that's what they called it because they couldn't
Yeah.
identify the different forms of dementia like they can now.
That is true. And if I had to intuitively figure out what was going on, it was like her whole body, her whole soul left a long time ago. And whatever was left was with all of her, whatever was left was with her very, very earthly resentments, anger. I mean, whatever all that was, it was just eye-opening to me.
That's how
Her
we
spirit was not there to control it.
And that's how we could tell how it progressed because of the behavior. We could tell, is it in the parietal lobes, temporal lobes? It sounded like it was affecting the frontal lobe, which is
Y-
the emotion, the gatekeeper, all
Yeah.
that stuff. But you're not going to have it. That comes through love.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Uh,
I'm a Gemini, so I'm like, if one twin tanks, the other one gets to take over.
I saw the dog. What kind of dog you got?
She's a Australian doodle, Australian Shepherd doodle,
We,
whatever it is.
we
The
tried
curly
that.
haired Australia. Yeah. Her name's Panda.
Oh,
She comes and visits every time I get on the video here. She has to like show up.
she's a cutie. All right, so I've got some questions. Shall we get
Okay.
started?
Yes, that was a great conversation. I appreciate it.
Everybody, you had a crash course in Intuition 101.
I love it. I love it. I love
All right,
it.
here we go. Let me just get to the questions here. All righty then. All right. So here we are. Okay. Um, Here we go. Give me one second. Hi, Mel and Sheila. This is from Almago, Alma Go Chain. I have trouble seeing because it's in such small print. I'm looking on my phone and that's
It's all
not.
right.
All
I
right.
have dyslexia, so I would have never got that.
Hi, Mel and Sheila. Would you please answer this question? Well, we will try. Will the anonymous evidence make enough of a difference to bring all of these people to justice?
Hmm. Um,
Some huge things coming out by anonymous. It's going to be pretty damning for Trump.
I think they're torturing the Republicans right now. That was my first thing is they are letting them know we know this, we know this. They're like torturing. The torture may be an awful word, but that's what it feels like. It's like almost like they send them packages. We know about this, we know about this, we know about this. It's like a weird thing I just got.
But I think they're keeping it anecdotal. Anecdotal means just a small piece.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
But I see them coming out in the very, very near future with some huge stuff. There you go.
Surveillance.
Bingo.
They're watching them. That is absolutely, and then the tunnel, the
Uh,
tunnel has all of the stuff in it. Yeah. So the surveillance and the beach. The beach and this one here is my true crime cards and justice. So everything is going to be laid out on the beach. It's going to be funneled in, and it's all going to be laid out on the beach, and justice will happen, is what my cards just said.
People think that it's going to be just one thing or a group thereof, like stuff with Anonymous coming out or whatever, that will bring the regime down. I don't see it that way. I see
Mm.
numerous things coming
Yep.
to light that will bring the regime down. But my guides have told me for a very, very long time that the women will bring him down, meaning Cittadini. Uh,
Yes.
and so I still hold true to that. Um, there's just going to be so much coming out. I see more articles of impeachment filed. They won't get anywhere, and people are going to be frustrated. But what will happen is each time they'll get more and more. And so the articles of impeachment, I see like this little snowball, and it says articles of impeachment. And there's another little snowball that says the same thing, and another one, another one. But they start rolling and they all converge and become this huge avalanche.
Mm-hmm.
And the symbology of that, I think, is pretty obvious.
Yep.
So that ultimately, all these different articles of impeachment ends up being an avalanche that will bring him down and Shady Vance, and Pam Bondi.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, mm. Pam Bondi has been gatekeeping all of the Epstein files ever since she worked in Florida. She used to be the AG or something like that in Florida, and she was the one that started the Epstein files back then. She's been gatekeeping all this. The reason why she got that job is to continue to gatekeep all that information about Trump
it's
being.
called obstruction of justice,
Oh yeah,
and it's
that's their
called
that's their middle. That's their game.
and it's called well, it's called abuse of power. And when I think of her, I said this all the time. Uh, my guides are telling me that I'm hearing this clairaudiently. The same thing that happened to Attorney General John Mitchell under the Nixon years, obstruction of justice, all that stuff, abuse of power. He went to jail. That's what's going to happen to Pam Bondi. Same thing.
Good.
So, and Cash Patel's going to be in deep water too. My feeling is behind the scenes that Elon Musk is going to start putting out money there you go, trapped. I love it.
Trapped.
He's going to start putting out money just so that Trump won't win. I mean, that war with Trump and Musk is going to gain public attention again. But right now they're playing wag the dog with this
Yeah.
whole thing with Israel and Iran. So that
Uh,
brings up a question.
yeah.
For the past couple of days since this whole Israeli Iran thing started, and Trump is, oh, we're gonna do this to them, to Iran, and blah blah blah. They have 2 weeks, and if they don't surrender or they don't do this, people are worried about nuclear weapons being used, and they're also worried about World War III.
Mhm.
What do you intuit about that?
I I do not see Iran having nuclear weapons for one. I don't see it. I have never seen it. I don't see it. Netanyahu has been touting that BS since 2002. That's the reason why he got Bush on task to do what he did in opening up that war. And again, nothing was ever found. They could have
It
taken it
didn't
out then.
exist.
So
It didn't exist.
no. And this is another thing is Iran is connected to Russia. Russia likes Iran. So Trump is Iran and Russia, Russia. So Netanyahu may be head out in the cold because Trump cannot piss off. Which one would he rather piss off? The crazy one from Israel or the other one that has funded everything he's ever done in this country? Right? So he's not going to mess with Russia. And I
I
think that's the reason why he kicked it down the can down the road 2 weeks.
I think behind the scenes, Putin and Trump have been talking, and
Hmm.
Netanyahu. This just didn't happen 2 days ago.
No,
They
no.
have been, Trump and Netanyahu have been talking about this since a very long time, even before Gaza.
Right. So that was another thing is so Netanyahu says, and this is stuff that's not verified, but this is just like you said, we either know it, we just know it. It
Entertainment
feels
purposes only.
Yeah, exactly. So it
That's
feels like
technically.
Netanyahu says, I'll give you Gaza. if you take care of Iran for me. I want Iran out. I've always wanted Iran out. I am always tired of these people, right? They use any propaganda to sympathize with everybody. We need to do it. And I'm like, you can go bomb Gaza's hospitals and children and this, that, and the other, but once Iran does it to you, all of a sudden you're trying to get us to sympathize with you?
The other thing those are very good points because I agree. The other thing I intuited was that behind the scenes, Trump also was talking to Putin about this and
Hmm.
said, you know what, I won't uh, I won't support Ukraine. I'll support you, which is basically what he said. He
Right.
tried to blame Ukraine for the war. No, Ukraine didn't start it, Russia did. I mean, Putin did. But if we go into Iran, then you can't interfere in that.
Hmm.
But I think this whole thing was I've got a funny feeling a lot of this was premeditated to the degree that, and I could be completely off base, but I don't think so. My intuition is showing me that when Russia uh, and I think North Korea backed Iran with backing Hamas and put Hamas up to that attack on Israel and Gaza.
Hmm.
I think that whole thing was orchestrated.
Hmm.
I really do.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
and it was orchestrated. But then I also think it was done uh, because now it gave Trump and Netanyahu the reason to go into Gaza and do all that, but also now to go after Iran. That's what's going on.
Yeah.
So I think this whole thing was premeditated from I think before even, well, I still think that Iran and Russia, they've been planning a lot of stuff, but I still think Trump was talking to Putin.
Yeah.
And I think that Israel kind of had some intelligence about that Hamas was going to make this attack on Gaza. And I'm thinking that this whole
So can I get this right? Didn't attack Gaza. Israel attacked Gaza, right?
Israel attacked Gaza, but Hamas attacked Israel, I think.
Yeah, that's the way it goes.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I got it
Yeah.
mixed up. That's right.
Yeah,
But
you know the subscribers will take care of that. They'll set you straight.
I'm
But
sorry. I meant to say that they attacked Israel,
yeah.
but Hamas was in Gaza.
Yeah.
Um, but it was an excuse to take Hamas. They took Hamas out. There's still a few there, but what they did in Gaza was horrible. But I still think this whole thing, in a strange sort of way, was premeditated so that it would give them an excuse to go in and try to topple Iran. And I'm not
I agree.
pro-Iran at all.
Yeah, me neither. I'm not pro Iran. I'm not pro Israel anymore either. I never have, to be honest with you. I kind of had the ick about Israel from the get-go, but I'm like, oh, whatever. The ally, all right, fine.
Well,
I was never thrilled about it.
but because what happened was then if they could do that, when Hamas attacked Israel, then, you know, they could use that as fodder, Israel and United States, to say, wait a minute, now we can have this war
Yep.
against Gaza, and now we can go into Iran. That's what it's about.
I agree. I think their whole goal is to take out Gaza, Iran, and then Israel take over Gaza and have Iran. I mean, they've wanted Iran for a very, very long time.
Well, I'm pro-Israel, but I'm anti-Netanyahu.
Yeah,
You know, he's another Donald Trump. But I'm telling you, my guides are showing me that behind the scenes, Trump
agreed.
talked to Putin about all of this and said, I'll support you, your Ukrainian thing, then you support us of in Israel. You don't say much if they go into Iran.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But he still likes it. But Putin still, he doesn't have very many allies left.
Well,
You know what I mean?
you
He
know,
doesn't have very many, and I don't know. I just kind of feel like he already it's already been put out there that Russia just said don't do that.
right. They did.
Yeah.
They did.
So I
I,
don't know that it's that whole thing, that whole mess. I think as Americans, we should stay the F out of all of it.
North Korea is talking about getting involved in it too.
Of course.
Um, I do not see a nuclear war.
No.
I do not foresee tactical nuclear weapons being used. And I do not see World War III.
No, they're gonna kick that down the road for a while.
Well, Einstein said, I don't know how the Second World War oh no, he said, I don't know how the Third World War will be fought, but the fourth one will be fought with sticks and stones.
Right. I got neglect.
Oh,
The neglect and the abuse, that they're just,
all right.
yeah.
Um, let's see. Christine Chauvenek says, I realize that all soul path journeys are at different phases for each human, but it seems like it's coming to a boiling point. Will the light defeat fear and all its forms of darkness? Or is it just a wash and rinse repeat cycle for all souls who come to earth to learn the different physical feelings of love, joy, sadness, hate, etc.? What do your guides say? Ooh, that's
Well, we have evidence that yes, we do evolve. We have evidence of this all the time. I mean, back, you know, medically, we have evolved. Back psychology, we have evolved. Mathematically, we have evolved. What we have not evolved and we have very rarely have ever addressed in this country or on this earth is our inner emotions around racism. Racism has been around for a very long time. We have put it under the rug. We have hid it under laws, but we have never hit it just head on. This is hitting racism head on. When we get done with this, and we will be on the other side of it because what I have seen in my own self and also the people that I associate with. White women have been afraid to speak up against racism for a very long time. And this is the reason why, is because if they say that they're not racist, then they won't get a high level white man. And if they don't get a high level white man, that takes them out and they get called names, they get called whatever, whatever. And I have seen so many of my own race step up and just ignore the fear, put that aside, speak up and say, nope, racism's out of here. So we're gaining on that aspect. And it will be a thing in the past, just like when you're back in the day, children that used to get abused or didn't talk about it. Now they scream about it. So that's the difference of what I think is going to happen. It's coming out ugly, but it's coming out.
When Ruth um, Ginsburg,
Yep, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Yep.
Gator Ginsburg, I was going to say Gator is Boehner. When she crossed over, I'm like, whoa. And Cheeto Head was president then too, I think.
Yep.
Um, I said, now what? And she came to me and she showed me this little flicker of light. And it got bigger. And each time it would get bigger, there was this dark, ugly hands, monstrous looking things. And that was Trump and everything he touched, how it
Yeah.
turns to dark and ugly. Almost every institution in this country, and she showed me this, every institution. And it pushed back the light, and the light would get tiny, teeny tiny, almost like just glowing, but then it would get larger again. And then it would be pushed back. When Biden was president, the light got huge.
The
And
ebb and flow of the death. Yes.
now it's pushed back again. But what's happening is the light is beginning, it's not an ember anymore. It's very bright and it's growing brighter and brighter. And I asked her, okay, what'll happen? And she said, the light will prevail.
Yep.
So I think
100%.
with all these people protesting, not well, marching peacefully,
Hmm.
saying we have had it.
Yep.
Those those marches are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, more frequent, and you know, we are making the light grow in a sense of saying we will not tolerate the mass deportation of innocent people,
Right.
will not tolerate racism or bigotry, because that's what this is, and we want it stopped.
Yeah.
And the more that we speak up, the more he's going to try to get by with deporting more people and more of his racism and bigotry. But you're right, the light will win.
This is the perfect analogy. Somebody explained it to me. I have a little bit of a weight problem, right? And when I try to starve one of my fat cells, you know what it does?
It,
It screams.
well, it causes
It
your body that everything you eat goes into
fights.
fat.
Yep, fights me. Like it fights tooth and nail before it leaves. And that is exactly how it is out here. I'm sorry if I described it that way, but racism is fighting for its life right now. And what the difference is it means that it's fighting for its life. That means it's dying.
Bingo. Bingo. It really is. Or it
Hmm.
will.
It will. We hold that line, people. Hold the line. So I hold that energy, hold the line, because it is dying. Horribly, but it's dying.
Tina Morganti says, what a great team. Well, thanks, Tina. Looking forward to this. Well, thank you. Will Trump be put in handcuffs with FBI agents dragging him out of the White House in front of the camera so we can see that? Um,
Woo!
well, no, but when he's impeached, it's going to be, this is a witch hunt. Look at what they did to me. But the best way to get to Trump is not to pay any attention to him
This is true.
because he's a narcissist and he loves the attention, whether it's positive, negative, it doesn't matter to him. He wants the attention. He wants chaos. He wants anarchy. And when he finds he's going down, he's going to think if he goes down, he's going to take everything down with him. It won't work. There will be a time when he'll go down in the history books as absolutely the worst president that ever existed,
Clean up the devil.
right? And I see his presidency overturned. It's a while before that happens. But, you know, the 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 best karma that can happen to him is that when he opens his mouth at some point in the future, when he's not president anymore, or JD Vance, or Kash Patel, or Pam Bondi, or Christy Noem, that the media doesn't cover it. They don't give him any attention.
Wouldn't that be beautiful? Wouldn't that be nice that he does not get any oxygen out of our country anymore?
That's exactly what's going to happen.
Yep. I do see the overturning, but I see it like down the road, like at some point in time, like maybe 5, 6, 7 years, and then they overturn it and he doesn't get credit for this term.
Right. I don't see him carried out in handcuffs screaming,
But
but
I don't see him finishing it either.
he will not finish. I see him out and Vance as well.
Yep.
Uh, and oh my God, it'll be sensational, all kinds of news and stuff. But at some point, that'll just go by the wayside. Like in Nazi Germany, well, Hitler was defeated, but I mean, people still talked about him. But now, I mean, people talk about how horrific it was, and hopefully that it's not going to happen again. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
It's happening here.
Yeah. They
And
figured their way in here.
And the biggest thing to happen to Trump is he's going to find out that, once he's taken down a peg or two, and he will be, that he can no longer control the media. He can no
Hmm.
longer control the House
Hmm.
or the politicians. He can't buy them any longer,
Hmm.
bully them any longer. And that's the worst thing that can happen to a sociopathic narcissist.
Yeah, he doesn't need to be in a prison cell for him to be in a prison.
Right, exactly. Um, okay. Jen says, hello, great company. With the cost of living in California so high, will state workers win their lawsuit for return to office due to the benefits working from home? I don't, hmm, I don't get that. Well, the cost of living in California so high, will state worker. Oh, I see.
Are we live?
No, we're
Okay. Okay. I was just wondering because you're answering those questions. Like, did I miss something?
no. What I did was we posted it, and then we
Okay.
tell people to ask questions under the post, and then I read them and I answer them like that.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay. I'm caught up now.
I don't quite know if I understand the meaning. So how will state workers win their lawsuit for return to office? Um, I'm seeing in California that it's still going to be hybrid, that they might have to go to the office once or twice a week, but then they can still work from home as well. That's how I see it playing out.
I mean that's what the White House is right now. I did a remote view and like nobody's showing up to the White House. Like nobody's showing up to their office. Trump is not in his office. Nobody is in their office. It is like a ghost town. Nobody is showing up.
He's never in his office anyway.
Yep, never. Yeah, he was like every once in a while he gets there for a photo op, but other than that,
That's the
nope.
only time he's there.
Yep.
Um, okay. Julie Mogford says, hi, Mel and Sheila. When election interference is revealed, and it will be, and they'll have proof of it, will this show how it impacted other races at the state level and make those changes in office? I have always wondered if Beto O'Rourke really won against Grape Abbott, and if
Mm.
Colin Alred maybe won against Ted Cruz.
Yeah, I do. I think Florida and Texas has been the prototype. I think they have figured out how to cheat in those two states, and that's what they used for the general.
What state was it where they just didn't count X amount of votes?
It was, oh
Texas,
gosh, I'm gonna get this wrong, but it's like in New York. I think there's a county in New York
but the
where Donald Trump got votes, Kamala Harris got 0 votes, and the senator was a democratically elected to Congress. So that gives you a red flag right there.
but
Absolutely no candidate never gets 0 votes.
But I think in Texas, it was uncovered too that the Attorney General down there, Paxton, that they
Yep.
can allow X amount of votes, and there was a lot
Yep.
of them.
That's how they've been manipulating those things for quite a while.
Oh, more of that's going to come to light.
Mm, I hope so.
Okay. Jay Amafam says, are ETs causing SpaceX launch failures and are Starlink? No.
No, that's just the ding dong named Elon.
I just think because Musk,
Oh my gosh, this is the card I just pulled.
I don't think it is.
I don't,
It's good though. That was
how did I get
synchronicity.
this card? Aliens, maybe the aliens of his people. I don't know. Now that I pulled that card.
I intuit what caused it was because, like with Doge, he gets these companies, he cuts all the employees down to bare bones. The
Hmm.
ones there, they work like slaves and, keeps production costs low. Well, what do you expect?
Yep.
I think, it was some poor materials, poor planning, and you have a skeleton workforce. So, what do you expect?
Well, you get what you paid for.
And I had predicted, my guides had shown me that there was going to be more explosions of his rockets on that one after the first one, and this one just happened. I see two or three more.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
He's gonna call sabotage.
the Starlink satellites burning up. A lot of times, a satellite, if it loses its orbit, it starts sinking in orbit. It slows down, and then it's affected by
Mhm.
the. You have to be going a certain velocity to
True.
escape Earth's gravity. And then what happens if it slows down for some reason? It's an orbital decay. It's pulled back into the atmosphere, and I think that's what's going on with the satellites. There's just something a little bit wrong with the technology.
But then again, my imagination can just, a big old alien as they drive by, kick it, lock their doors and kick it as they go by. I'm like, don't go down on that planet.
I mean, why would they even bother to want to
This
come
is true.
here?
I agree.
If I were an
You know,
alien and I went to a place like this, I'd be, what the hell am I doing here? I'm out of here. I'm going to a place where I can be on a beach somewhere and it's peaceful. People are wonderful, you know.
right. They drive by Earth, lock their doors.
Exactly. It's like we ain't staying in this neighborhood. All right. We got time for a couple more.
Okay.
Oh, I like this one. Adrienne says, Hi, Mel and Sheila. How is Trump feeling right now, physically, mentally, and emotionally? Does he feel the end of his presidency coming? I don't think he feels the end of his presidency, but he
He's
was
too grandiose for that.
like, I think he was hopping mad about that parade. He was really behind the scenes fuming.
I 100%. He feels like a fool. I got the fool. He feels like the fool, but something he's trying to move away from all of the chaos. That's how come we get so much stuff, juggling all of the bad news. Let's see what else is this. He's always looking to buy something new with our money. I just kind of see him his internal fighting. He's really a person who his emotions and all of that are just in chaos on a regular basis. That's normal for him. That's normality.
Okay. Vaishali Williams says, Will Michigan get a Democratic governor?
Yes.
I hear yes to that too. Was a sweeping yes.
Wholeheartedly, yes.
Um, okay, Maggie Parrott says, Will Congress soon support the people and take away Trump's power? They can't take away his power.
Well,
But what,
no.
but what I see is more people in the House and more senators behind the scenes pulling away from him. It's not going to happen overnight. It's a slow process, but it will happen. And it started to happen. And then it's going to snowball.
It is going to snowball, but we don't expect any Republican to come out swinging.
No.
They get into a lot of emotional turmoil over that and they get hit all the way. They're not strong emotional people to do the right thing at the right time. They're just not. There's no I've seen it over and over and like maybe this one has some strength or some character. No, not that one either. So none of them do. So when you're dealing with somebody who does not is not emotionally mature, doesn't have the character of strength in order to face what's going on, you will always have what we have right now. Um, but silently, yeah, sneakily, yeah.
Well, what I see coming with some of the House members and senators is going to be exactly what happened during the McCarthy era. The madness went on forever. People were really hurt, blackballed, whatever, because of, communism and communist affiliations, and it was all a crock of BS. McCarthy was a cray-cray, I think.
Hmm.
But at some point, a couple senators spoke up to him. And I remember watching those hearings. Have you no decency, sir? The senator said that to him. And McCarthy couldn't say anything. He just kind of, and that's how I see it playing out, that there are going to be people that are going to start speaking up. The reason they don't is because they're afraid of Donald Trump and what he's going to do to them. But it's already happening, I think, where some of them aren't afraid and they're saying, this is wrong. And I see some,
Well, they haven't passed that big beautiful bill yet because they can't get it past the Senate.
right, exactly.
So that silence protest right there.
That's right. And people are going to start speaking up against it. As much as I don't like Rand Paul, he at least had a certain part of the anatomy to
He
say,
did.
um, I'm not gonna vote for it.
Yeah. Yeah, he did do that. And so did what was the other one that he ran through the halls? What was his name?
I don't,
That senator that we all laughed at him running out of the Senate chambers because of January 6th.
Oh, I can't think of his name. I know who you're
You
talking.
know who I'm talking about? So everybody in the chat probably knows who I'm talking about. He even said something. I didn't listen to what he said, but the news kind of popped up and said that he also is not in agreement with something that Trump is doing. So there's that too.
Okay, we got time for maybe one or two more. So
Okay.
Paul Smith says, please, do you have any idea when Cheetolini, I put in Cheetolini, she didn't say Cheetolini, I did, when Cheetolini will be gone? I can't take anymore. It feels like 50 years of suffering. I just want normal back. Love you both. What do you think? It's hard for us psychics to tell time.
Time, yeah, time is elusive to us. Um, a lot of people has gotten the information that I mean, his health really is not good. He does not take care of himself. He's got, apparently he has a catheter. He's got like a port that they're, giving him medicine, maybe chemo. I don't know. But a lot of people have like like one day when you check the headlines when you wake up, they're gonna say, Trump passed in the night.
Um, I just, I don't wish him harm, but I hope it's when he's out of office because otherwise they'll make him a martyr.
I know that. I know that's probably, but that may be the one thing, that they gotta sour the milk of the MAGA. The one way to sour the milk of the MAGA is to take away their addiction. And if spirit takes away the addiction, I don't think there's anybody in this world right now that could ever siphon that much loyalty out of people. So if he goes in the night, I don't think they'll probably like worship him. But there's also something else. They can't transfer all of that worship or that loyalty to somebody else. So it falls apart.
Yeah, but you could counter argue that one and say that, let's say that happens. But then, you take off the head of the Hydra, but it grows a new head. So
Yeah.
who's to say that there wouldn't be another or two or three people that would say, okay, he's gone, but now we are.
Because the reason why I think that, and you're right, there's always one more person that's willing to siphon all of that stuff. They couldn't do it. They could not. They tried to transfer all of that loyalty to what's his face in Florida.
Not gonna happen. No.
Yep. They tried to transfer all of that loyalty to MTG. That didn't happen. They tried, you know what I mean? They literally tried to find somebody else to transfer all that loyalty to. They couldn't happen. So if some reason Trump has got the sickening loyalty from the sickos, and I say that lightly, or maybe metaphorically, or legit. Um, and once that goes, it's like they're gonna be unplugged. And when that unplugging happens, who will they? I can't imagine anybody else ever holding or wielding that much power over them. I don't. They
I don't
haven't had
either,
it
but you know
they've
what?
never had it.
I don't either, but there's a show we started called The Other Side of the Coin, where
Yeah.
kind of look at all sides of it, but because that would be questions people would ask. Was something happened to him? Would JD Vance take over? Who would take his place? It won't be Vance, but who and what would somebody else?
Who has that much? So here's another aspect of that whole thing. Once he goes, everybody gets unplugged, okay? Congress, everybody gets unplugged from this energy. Bam, it's gone.
But
Will anybody else be motivated to continue on that much sickness?
but I think what we need to analyze is why did they get plugged into that energy in the first place?
Yes.
That's what we need to look at. We know we know that he's in power,
Mm.
but we have to analyze what brought him to power. Why
I
did
just
they
heard
allow
it.
that?
I literally just heard it when you said that. Is because of that underlying racism that never got addressed.
Bingo, bingo.
Racism is powerful.
Right.
It's like it's alive. And
This
it
is
has always been alive and it never got taken care of.
this is the American apartheid, but it
Yes.
will it will go away.
Yep.
But we have to have our voices heard, and we will.
Yep. And he represents every single hate, racism, a white boy thinking just because he had privilege, he deserves power as well. You know what I mean? It's all of that connected into this one little umbilical cord that I don't know. I get what you're saying in the part where if he goes, somebody will step in, but I don't know who.
I was just playing the devil's advocate in the sense
Yeah,
that that's what people would ask.
that's true.
So,
That is true.
all right, this has been wonderful.
Thank you.
Um, so we got to do this again,
Yes.
and
I
maybe
think we should do this on a regular basis, Mel.
I think you're right. We'll do it. But meanwhile, I don't know if you can get a hold of Hogarth or and I can get a hold of Lena. So, maybe me, you, Lena, Hogarth can do.
I will actually see them this Wednesday and I'll mention it.
Okay, I'll be in Mount Shasta. I'm leaving on Monday and I'll be back Sunday. And
Yes,
I'm
with
leaving,
Danny.
yep, Danny Shasta. And I'm leaving
You
again.
should do me a favor and give Danny a great big old huge kiss on his cheek and say that's from Sheila.
I'll just give him a wet willy and say she was.
Yes, say that's from Sheila.
Oh,
And he'll know.
Sheila,
And he'll like, thanks.
you might be watching. Um,
Hmm.
but then I'll be gone July 2nd for 3 or 4 days. We're going to go to Ohio and visit
Okay.
my husband's family there, or they're my family too.
All right.
We'll be back. So maybe after July the 4th, we can set it up. How's that?
I will. I will mention that to them Wednesday and say, hey, Mel would like to do a collaboration. Um, yeah.
All right. So here again, if they want to get a hold of you, how do they do it?
You punch into YouTube Celtic Tarot-Sheila, and this mug will show up.
And I am www.meldoer, meldoerr.com, or call my office 847-590-5411. I do have an opening for Peru, but I gotta know by Monday. I can't put it off anymore. I have openings for Iceland. If you're going to go, you need to come, let me know by July the 1st. That's final payment. Um, and also thank you to Andro Niki, ANDRO dash Niki and IKI. Andrew's really cool. He's helping me with some meditation stuff but the skincare products are phenomenal.
Mm.
No, I'm not paid by Andrew Niki, but Andrew's a friend of mine. He's very spiritual, and they're just great product. They don't use any animal testing or animal products or anything. They're wonderful. So check it out. Anyway,
And thank you to Aiden.
and thank you to Aiden who set this up. Aiden does great work. He wrote new lead-ins for me, and
He
uh,
does.
I can ask him stuff, and he's always there. And I think he helps out Sheila too on her channel. I couldn't. I couldn't do my channel without Aiden.
Yeah, yeah. He's helped me a lot. He was on my thing, and when last time I checked, he was taken off. I don't know what happened, so I need to get a hold of him and put him back on. But yeah, he usually cleans up my YouTube for me real well.
Yeah, he's really good. He's very talented. We should do a show with him because he's a very good psychic.
Very, absolutely.
All right. So, all right, everybody, stay safe, stay well. And it is the summer solstice. Here in
Yes.
the Western Hemisphere, it's the longest day of the year. It's
There
very
we
magical. And now
go.
the days start getting shorter. Yes. But it's a very energetic day.
Hmm.
So go out and hug a tree, honor the Earth Mother,
Hmm.
say hello to Grandmother Moon, Grandfather Sun, uh, Father Sky, Mother Earth, Great Spirit.
Absolutely.
So it's about honoring our planet, our home. So remember that today. All right, I'm gonna run. Aloha namaste, everybody, and we'll see you later.